we talk to family, friends, different people we meet in society at different moments. But at times, yeah, I don't know, you must have come across this or feel sometimes like this, that you don't want to talk when you don't have nothing specific or relevant to add to a conversation. Like, I be thinking sometimes I don't have nothing to say here or at this time or at that moment, and it's not like you can't maybe add something, but at the same time, it's like, it's not relevant. I can hear the conversation right now. It's not relevant, you know? I don't know if you've been in a position where, for example, you're in a job, right? I remember, and this has happened maybe on a few occasions, maybe, if I can be honest, but you hear a conversation in close proximity to you. It could be, one or two people, or maybe a couple of people, in a group talking, maybe some laughter or whatever, right? You're fine with the conversation. It doesn't matter to you in terms of what's being said. You're cool. The job is fine or the environment is fine, right? But sometimes you don't jump into the conversation or add your 2 cents. And have you ever felt weird about that, or felt that maybe you should be doing it, or I should just try and say something just to, you know, say something, just because there's a conversation happening close to me. But you look at it and think, yeah, there's no point, because I'm just not in the conversation right now, and that's fine. You're comfortable with yourself. You're comfortable with the fact that the conversation is going on and people are keying, but you're just not in it, right? You just haven't jumped in. And do you ever feel awkward or, feel funny about not doing it? Because for me, I don't. Literally, I don't. I've looked at these things and I thought sometimes I wonder how maybe sometimes it is perceived. Do I really care? Not really. Because I'm the type that if there's times to speak, I'm speaking. You ask me anything, I'll speak 100%. If it's something that is, I can add to 100%. But then there's also times when I don't have nothing to say. You don't have nothing to say. And then sometimes you get is everything all right? Is everything all good? You haven't been speaking. You're a bit quiet today. But it's like, I'm here. I'm doing what's required. I'm working. You got something to say? Hey, we can talk. But at this very moment, with the way maybe your conversation is going, I've got nothing to add, and that's no problem. It's like sometimes when you're not saying nothing at certain moments, particularly in jobs or just in most or certain environments, it's like people trying to figure out if something's wrong. And I understand, I'm all for the concern, but sometimes it gets to a point where it's like, I'm good, and you don't know how good I am right now, just in my current silence. It doesn't mean I'm going to remain silent, throughout the whole, time here, but, throughout the whole day, for example, in the job, or, the whole week. But it's just at this moment, and in some moments when everyone is talking, or I'm chilling, I'm good, But yeah, it's one of those situations where I've come across it many times, and it's always like people are trying to figure out what could be wrong. Is there an issue? And it's like sometimes there's just nothing to figure out. There's nothing to figure out unless, there is. But for the most part, when, you're a person that doesn't mind conversing, doesn't mind having conversations, and then also you're a person that doesn't mind staying quiet at times. And it's not like I'm staying quiet purposely. It's just, there's just nothing relevant to add. So yeah, man, I'm good, basically. And it's like you have to make it clear that no, I'm good, I'm good. But yeah, it's a funny one because yeah, just I've thought about it and I thought I've never felt awkward really. I've never felt it. It's only if you're the type to want to always be involved, then you may have a way that you feel. But nah, not for me. I've always been, when it's time to speak, then yeah, there has to be something relevant. If there's nothing, then I don't mind you talk. You can talk away. You can do what you want around me as long as it's not affecting me, directly. So but yeah, I think it's something to look into, because if you're in a job, right, and you are looking maybe for a promotion, then hey, you might have to, you know, yap away. You might have to, especially if you're, you know, it's within your benefit and you believe it's not something that's making you be out of character when you're trying to converse. Then hey, you gotta do what's required. You gotta, you know, as they say, be seen and be looking to be a part of certain moments, especially with people that's in a more of a senior position. So, hey, play the game as smartly as you can, because at the end of the day, you're trying to do what's best for you at the same time. But if you do have that kind of, you know, moment where you're not speaking, just be mindful of if and this is all only if you seem to feel that it could be a problem. If it doesn't, then, you know, disregard it. But if it gets to a point where you're like, hey, I may want to move in certain positions here at this place that I'm at, then you may want to start something up. You know, you may want to just add more than 2 cents to a conversation at times, but do it within, obviously, you know, your comfort level and reason. And obviously, like I say, assess what makes sense for you as well. And also, if you do feel weird, make it obvious that you're okay. Make it obvious that I'm good, and, you know, add your points if and when needed. But yeah, just thought of this and I thought, yeah, man, sometimes I don't like talking, but I'm talking now, and obviously I'm doing something I want to do. So you're gonna hear me talk. But yeah, in general, if I got something to say, I'm gonna say. But if I don't, I don't, and I'm good with it, you know. And sometimes it would be good if people could acknowledge that aspect of certain people, of just being cool with not saying much at times, you know. But when the person does say something, you know, it's profound. It has, you know, some relevance. And I think that would be good if we can just get to a point where, as people, hey man, this person is not saying nothing. If there's something wrong, then yeah, that person should make it known. But if there's nothing wrong, there's so many people like that just want to, you know, choose when they have to say certain things, and if they don't think something's relevant, they don't think something's relevant. So yeah, let people let myself, please, let me do what I gotta do. I'm in a good state, you know, whenever I'm chilling, you know. So yeah, and I'm sure it's funny because I'm sure people can relate to this, where certain times they say stuff or they would like talking, and then certain times it's like, I don't like to, you know, and it's no offense. It's no, I don't like you per se, the person, but it's just, I'm good at this moment, you know. Maybe there's something else that will, you know, ignite me to say something, you know, as time goes on. But at this very moment, I'm good here. You know, am I allowed that? You know, that's how sometimes you have to you know, look at it. It's like you have to say, yo, am I allowed to just chill here and not have any kind of, you know, assumption that something's wrong? You know, but yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. But again, I would want to know what people think, because for me, as you get older, you start becoming like, I ain't got any kind of issue with trying to always keep up with certain, you know, things. You know, you've seen things in life already, you know, enough. You've been there and done it, sort of thing, you know. So yeah, it gets to a point where you gotta pick what makes sense. But yeah, be mindful though, if it is something that is maybe proving an issue, be mindful and do what you gotta do for your benefit, and also assess what makes sense, you know, in terms of you sometimes liking to talk or not liking to talk, and obviously be ready for whatever takes place with it. But yeah, man, like I say, I want to know what people think about it, because for me, it's funny, and it'd be good to gauge what people think.